Good evening. Welcome to another exciting edition of So Into Bourbon. I'm Glenn. This is Charlie. Charlie, tell them what's on the bar tonight.
Tonight we're excited to have the newest release from Green River Distilling Company, their Full Proof offering. Pow-pow.
Okay, so Green River Full Proof. This is a new release this year. Not that they haven't had full proofs available before. Actually, last year they had single barrel full proofs, which
Barrel proofs, yep.
Barrel proofs,
Yep.
full proof, whatever you want to call it. Which one of my favorite whiskeys of last year was that John O's store pick of Green River.
Yep. Which is why I was super excited about this
Yeah.
one. And it's very funny. This is serendipitous. I was in Louisville, Kentucky yesterday. I went into a liquor barn. They had this particular bottle on the shelf, and I thought, man, should I grab that? Should I not? We've got so many bottles that we need to do. I feel like I need this. I passed on it. I went to my appointment. I called Glenn. I said, hey, they had some bottles. They had the Green River, and he goes, oh yeah, I ordered one of those.
Yeah.
And it arrived like literally 10 minutes later.
The funny thing is, I completely forgot I ordered it.
Love it.
Seal box. And it, like you said, showed up like 10 minutes later after we hung up.
So we were definitely on the same wavelength when this one. Give us some specs on this, Mr.
Yeah,
Hopperson.
so this is 5 to 7 year blend.
Okay.
Proof 117.3.
Love it.
Love it. Mash bill 70% corn, 21% rye, 8% malt, 9% malted barley.
We'll get there eventually, people. Those
it all
numbers
adds up to 100.
That gets
right?
to 100.
Price. This is my favorite part.
Say it out loud.
$49.99.
Yes, let's go. This has to be good, right? It just has to be, because this is what I feel like we're missing. We're missing these great shelfer, like everyday releases that have great specs, that don't break the bank, that make you feel happy when you get them.
Yeah, so this has so much potential. I really hope that I love this. I don't know
Please.
why I won't,
Please
because I
don't
love
let us
the
down.
single barrel.
Please.
So
Let's talk real quick before we get into this. The bottle. The bottle is just amazing. If you haven't had a chance to handle one of these, it is a horseshoe on the bottom. That's what gives it that awesome shape. The faux tack strip, the label, everything. A ton of info on there as well. I love it. I love the bottle. I love these little squat bottles.
yeah, read the little
gosh,
little
dang,
blurb on the back
gonna
there.
make me read.
I can't read that.
Founded by John W. McCulloch in 1885, is Kentucky's 10th oldest distillery. Green River was celebrated for quality and became known as the whiskey without regrets before being lost to history after Prohibition. Green River Full Proof is a small batch of select barrels blended and bottled at barrel strength, offers a robust flavor profile that can be enjoyed neat, on the rocks, or in your favorite cocktail.
The whiskey without regrets.
Whatever. Let's get into it, people. That's what we're all waiting for. Nice, beautiful,
Really,
amber kind of
yeah.
color.
Really nice color on it. Just a kind of a, not a super dark amber, but just enough.
It's nice. Let's see if you can get a little color
Dark
there.
honey.
Yeah. That's a great descriptor there. Look at you and your descriptors. Dark honey. Yeah, that's nice. It's not super oily. It does put a little ring at the top of it, but yeah, that's okay. Should we?
It's got legs.
It's got legs.
Shall we
Should we nose?
Yep. Remember that.
Big, you know it's barrel proof.
Mm-hmm.
You know it's full proof. And this fresh pop, you guys saw us
It's a fresh
pop
pop.
it. We just opened it, so it'll air out a little bit, but big blast of sweet alcohol. You definitely smell the rye character.
Yeah, that's something that I remember from the single barrel full proof. That rye character.
Which the single barrel that we had almost drank like a rye. Like it was
really did,
so
yeah.
spicy.
It was like mint and chocolate.
Yeah,
and
crazy.
Just all kinds of goodness.
But this does have, like, this is two noses kind of fighting it out. The rye spice is definitely there, and like, hey, I'm here. But there is some of that cola and burnt sugar and dark chocolate
A
nose.
little bit of tobacco, or maybe some leather.
Yeah, I mean it's a It's a nice nose. I'm super excited for this one. Green River.
Wow. So I'm getting some really strong competing flavors. What first came to me is toffee. And then almost like an orange or citrus note. I'm going to go back in and Utah.
It's real good. I mean, it's there's a lot going on in that bottle. Big rye spice punch, that kind of hits you at the start, and it just rolls to the back of your tongue, and it just sits. It just sits there. So you get rye spice from your first sip through your finish, and then it just lingers. And what comes with that rye spice, and you hit it, is like competing or cascading flavors. You get a little bit of, like you said, like a chocolate or a candy, and then a little bit of that kind of cherry cola flavor. And then the finish is just spicy, like leather and oak, like just very classic,
so
deep flavor.
I always, in my mind, I always struggle to like distinguish butterscotch from toffee, from caramel. They all kind of blend in together.
Sweet candy.
To me a little bit. Yeah, but this almost like a Werther's. It's got some of that butterscotch, a little bit of, like I said, toffee, a little bit of chocolate. I don't get, so it's interesting to me. It's a much different, from what I remember, a much different flavor profile from the single barrel proof that I had, which to me was like a York peppermint patty almost. So I'll be curious to, and I brought the single barrel, maybe compare and see how.
What are we doing?
How they do compare side by side.
We will definitely compare. I will tell you this, I feel like the finish on this one is very strong.
Really?
Yeah, like it has, that first drink, I got that big blast of sweetness, and I agreed with everything you said, and I was like, man, that's awesome. And then second drink, and now third drink, and now getting ready to finish it off. The finish and that oakiness and the rye spice, it just dominates your palate, at least for me. Like it's a long, lingering, oaky finish that when you go back to it, it's hard for me to kind of get those sweet notes again, because it is a strong finish.
It's interesting that you said that, because I was going to say that I feel like the finish dries up really quickly. Like it dissipates pretty quick. I get what you're saying. And maybe it's just because it's mostly oak on the finish, where you still have a little bit of that bitterness, but all the flavor from my tongue is gone. Like I feel it all in the back of my mouth and the roof of my mouth on the finish.
And that dry, I think you kind of hit that oaky dryness. It is a very oaky.
It is.
Very oaky bottle. For 5 to 7 years, it has a lot of oak character. I'm anxious to see how this one is kind of going to air out. We may have to do a revisit on this one. All in all, for $50, for 5 to 7 years, for 117 proof, for a high rye mash bill.
Yeah, good. Well worth the money. Yeah. I will say another thing is, I feel like all the flavors on the front of my tongue. I don't feel like there's a whole lot going on in the back of my tongue.
You mean the sweetness and everything?
Yeah.
Or do you mean just total?
Most of the flavor notes that I picked up are all mostly on the front and the sides front of my tongue.
You know what we should do?
It's not a bad thing. It's just, it's an observation.
You know what we should do? Because our viewers demand it.
Yes.
They're bombarding us with emails. We should revisit this. And I will, full disclosure, so Glenn, when he brings his bottles over, he takes them, and I don't get to have them anymore. So this was a fresh pop. I had it once. It left this searing mark on my mind
and I've already told him to pour light, because I want to save, because this is one of my favorites that we've had in the past year, and so I want to kind of put together an episode towards the end of the year, and hopefully we have some left from each bottle that we've opened that we've liked, and really kind of have a showdown, a contest to pick our best of the year.
Did I leave enough?
Yes, which I say this was a 2023 pick, but I'm going to call it a 2024 bottle.
It immediately after we did this episode, not immediately, about a month later, my neighbor was at John O's, and he's like, "Hey, are you looking for anything?" And I said, "Yes." I was like, "I want their John O's single barrel first pick," and he said, "Okay." And he texted me immediately, be like, "They're gone." I was like,
so note, when I was out there the other day with Bruzel, they told me.
Did you catch that? Thought we were going to make it through an episode without hearing about his buddy Bruzel. You were wrong.
They did mention to me that their second single barrel pick is coming soon.
Awesome. All right, let's get into a little revisit. Colors is similar.
Yeah.
I would say maybe a shade darker.
Maybe. I don't know.
It's pretty close.
This is a little bit heavier on proof. I think it's just a couple points. It's at 120?
119.
119.
Yeah,
Okay,
so we're in the wheelhouse.
I will. Well, in this one, we just popped this one, so I'm not going to compare the noses. I feel like the nose is much more prevalent on
a lot more.
But of
This
course,
one is really calmed down. I'm not getting a ton of much of anything, but we're drinking it.
What do you think?
It's still so good.
I still get that York peppermint patty. I feel like this one, I get the flavor all over my tongue.
Yeah, it's just so good. It just, like it is, like it just fills your whole mouth. Like you feel it in your gums, at the roof of your mouth. Don't edit this. I'm trying to be serious. That is a great bottle of bourbon. And man, is it awesome. And I will say this, it doesn't have as much of that wild man rye that I remember.
Really?
It's still very much spicy and tingly and gives you that rye character, but it's amazing what happens over time.
Right.
And what you remember and in the mood.
I will say, I feel like the finish on this one is much more prevalent. It's got more heft to it. There's more flavor left on my tongue.
100%. So this has more of a depth of flavor from start to finish than the regular full proof, which it should. This is a single barrel proof, and it costs double. Wasn't it double?
60 maybe. I don't remember. I think it was 60 to 70 bucks.
That's ridiculous. How is it so cheap? If you get the opportunity to get some of these Green Rivers, you definitely should.
Absolutely.
Everything we've had from them has been unbelievable. You know, not to take anything away, this is a madman. Unbelievable bottle. One of those bottles that will leave an indelible mark, a lasting impression. You'll always hearken.
This is one of those bottles that you don't drink quickly because you want to nurse it.
Yeah.
And I know it looks like I've drank it quickly, but it's been open for several months. I've tried to prevent myself from going back to it too often because I want to save it. Because once it's gone, it's gone.
But I will tell you, so going back to my original anecdote of being in a liquor store in Louisville, I was a little downtrodden because they had a lot of, it was a liquor barn in Louisville, which is a chain in Kentucky. And they had a ton. They had a bunch of stuff. They had Henry McKenna, they had Little Book, they had a case filled with stuff, and I was just...
It was all at retail, right?
It was all retail. Yeah, they all, no secondary pricing here. But retail pricing has become secondary pricing. The amount of, and I should have just got a tally book, like a notebook, and tallied how many bottles of bourbon they had or brands that were over $150. And it was terrible. Like, and I know if
that should not be the norm, right?
It shouldn't be the norm. And if you're watching this, I know you can go back through the things that we have done, and we have paid that much and more for bottles, but everything can't cost $150.
Right.
And this bottle from Green River makes me very happy because that is a quality bottle of bourbon for $50.
Absolutely.
That you grab one or two of them and you don't care. You pour it in Coke, pour Coke in it, pour it over a rock, make old fashions out of it, drink it neat, who cares? And it's a great bottle.
I feel like Green River is quickly cementing themselves among the Knob Creeks, the Old Foresters, the Jim, just your, obviously not as big, but just, what you're going to get. You know you're going to get a good quality bottle of bourbon, and you're not going to have to pay a fortune for it.
And that
it's
is
a classic, quintessential bourbon or rye.
I hear people all the time say, like, oh, bourbon's not, it's not fun anymore. And it's really easy to get caught up and to be discouraged by the limited editions and the small stuff and how much just the new releases are. But if you just look and you look at some of these craft distilleries, we may be living in the golden age of bourbon. Like, and I know people will go back and be like, oh, bourbon's different. The new golden age, the gilded age, whatever you want to call it. There's some really, really great stuff being made in all across the country, not just in Kentucky, but if you just look for it and try some of these smaller ones, you may be surprised and you may find a new favorite distillery.
Charlie, I feel like we need to rate this one.
I feel like you need to drop your cap. I'll rate it. I will tell you right now.
I'll drop a cap on you.
Drop a cap. Pop a cap. Man, I will give that a solid 6.875 for the money and how it is. I would rank it higher, but I just had this one, and if this one was $70, I will give that a 6.75. I think that's if you have the opportunity to get it, it's a must-have.
Yeah, I'll give it. I'm kind of in the same line with you. I don't want to give it the same rating, so I'm just going to give it a 7 because it's a
great bottle.
It's not a single barrel. It's under $50.
5 to 7 years old.
It's really good.
High rye mash bill.
Yeah, it's a 7.
I can't argue with you. I love it. Tell the people what to do.
Well, first, check out our Facebook, Instagram, So Into Bourbon.
Buy some
Check me out on
Whiskey Realtor on TikTok.
Whiskey Realtor on TikTok.
And then you got to click the link and all our crap and buy some of our wonderful merchandise. Buy some stuff. Wear a nice Make Bourbon Affordable Again shirt.
Here's the deal. We produce this content for free, right? We don't ask for you to join.
It's not free to me.
No, I hate to say that because maybe we will at some point. I don't know. But we don't ask for you to send us money. We don't ask for you to join our Patreon or pay for our cameras or whatever. This is all, we fund this ourselves. But the one thing that we do is we sell merch. And it's good quality merch. It's not cheap stuff. It's tri-blend t-shirts. We have cool hats.
Support your local bourbon person. And if you are interested in just sending us money for no reason, send us an email at sointobourbon@gmail.com.
Send it to Glenn.
No. So Into Bourbon. We got to have checks and balances here. Wow. Did it stop recording?
Hopefully the camera's still recording.
No, we're still
recording. Something just happened here
on our
monitor.
It's sending us money for a new camera. Oh my gosh. Tell them what to do before we lose our minds.
Let's end this before we lose everything. Keep those wallets loose.
And your bungholes tight. Good night, everybody.
Peace out.
Green River
is the place to be.
Nothing? All right. Oh my gosh.
Gotta twist that bad boy. It's got the not on mine. Stealing bread.
I should have never sang that. I'm going to have to.
I know, it's one of those earworms.
When Eddie Vedder sang, I really felt that.
Well, good evening. Welcome to another exciting edition.
3, 2, 1. You know, speaking of my Phil Collins hairline, they said I'd never get over my Phil Collins addiction. But take a look at me now.
Well, hello, welcome.
Frame too small. Your frame's too small.
I don't even know what that means. I keep looking crooked.
You're
Just stop.
Join us tonight when I kill Glenn on camera. 2 years in the making. You get to watch.
All right. 3, 2, 1.